Techwood School is a school for autistic children and young adults. We have set this podcast up to provide our pupils with a fantastic opportunity to develop a range of skills whilst interviewing top sportsmen and women from a variety of different sports. Join us today on the TWS Sports Podcast is a professional footballer. He plays for Wrexham. Welcome to the podcast, Paul Mullin.
Hi, mate, you okay?
Yeah, good, thanks. We're glad to have you here, mate.
Thank you for having me.
What influence did Ryan and Rob have on your decision to join Wrexham?
As owners, probably not as much as people that think. As I said, I only really care about Albion as much as the two really famous owners are great to get on with, and I speak to them a lot. Obviously, speaking to Robbie, outlined the plans for the club, which was obviously really good and quite important to know where they seen the club was going. But equally, as I said, it was never going to be a bad move because it was all about just spending as much time with my family as possible. So they did play a key role, obviously, because they paid us really well. That's documented, but also it was coming home with Albie was the main thing. And they helped me a lot, but I think since I've signed, they've helped me more than anything and anyone, which is something I'm really grateful for.
You got off to a great start with Wrexham, scoring goals straight away. How did the manager, Phil Parkinson, help you settle into a new team straight away?
Oh, the gaffer has been phenomenal for me personally, and I think that was the biggest thing. I finally found a manager at Cambridge who I loved and I'd run through a brick wall for. And obviously Jim Bentley at Morecambe was the same. I'd do that, but I was a young lad then, and I'd never been given the faith that Matt Bonner had showed me at Cambridge. So when it came to leaving there, it was quite daunting because you never know if you're going to find that one manager again. And luckily, when I signed, the manager, the gaffer here, he basically asked me what it was that changed and what got the best out of me at Cambridge. And I told him, and thankfully for me, he took that on board and has really helped me going forward from that point. And he's always understood me. He's always took time to understand how I work and how I am as a person. And I'd like to think I've paid him back really well for that, but that's down to him being a good manager and appreciating what I can do and always trusting that I know myself best. Nobody's going to know you better than yourself. And the gaffer's been really good at just letting me be myself and let me express myself.
That was an amazing season for you and the club. However, it ended in disappointment as you lost the FA Trophy final and lost in the playoffs. Take us back to the end of that season and how did you feel to come so far and miss out?
It was really disappointing at the time. I think straight after the game, you always sit there and have the feeling, was it the right decision to move here? But that literally only lasted probably 2 minutes. But I think looking over time now, it just made everything that little bit sweeter. Even the next year when we did get promoted, it made it all just seem a lot better probably than it was. It was sort of a build-up of all the pressure of the 2 years that I was here at that point, and it was a phenomenal time. I think the club have been through 15, 16 years being out of the Football League, so to finally give them it back after the disappointing year before just added to the whole drama and excitement. And it seems the club are making a documentary. I think it made it just that little bit better for people to watch. Even the ones who'd wish bad on us, they got to laugh at us for a year, but then the next year we came back with a vengeance, which was really pleasing.
What was it like having the Disney's cameras following you around everywhere? Did you get used to it?
Yeah, something that I just sort of adapt to and get used to it. And there's one thing I've always told myself: if you just be yourself, and that's it. Because no matter what you see back on the screen, if you were just yourself, you're not going to be embarrassed, and you're not going to feel any different. You're not going to feel bad, or you're not going to regret anything if you're just yourself. So it's something I got used to be honest. It does bother me. To be honest, I don't even notice they're there now because I just be authentic and be me. So it doesn't affect me in any way. And as I say, I never noticed they're there anymore.
I take it you're glad about the next season being announced.
Oh, the documentary coming out. I have
Yeah,
to say, it's not something I think about too much. Obviously, when it's out, I do watch it just because I like the storyline of it. To be honest with you, we obviously know what happens on a football pitch, and from that point of view, but there's a lot of things that happen in the documentary, especially around the community, that we're sometimes isolated from, or that we don't know about. Obviously, last year you've seen that Arthur, who was the oldest fan of the club, who sadly now passed away, but we got to know him through the documentary, like I'm sure a lot of fans did, and that was really good to see. And I think a lot of stuff in the documentary is like that, where we only find out from watching it, and then we can sort of lend a hand to the community a little bit more from being present and understanding what's going on a little bit more.
you and the team have been involved a lot in TV adverts with Ryan and Rob, and you recently played Welsh Ball in the new Deadpool film. How did that come about, and what was it like acting in a Hollywood film?
Yeah. To be honest, a lot of people probably think it was after getting promoted or whatever, and Ryan had said, but it wasn't. 6 months after I'd signed and meeting Ryan only a couple of times, he basically said he was writing the script and he'd like that if I play a part in it, and something obviously I jumped at the chance. He actually apologised for asking me if I'd do it, but I'm not sure why, because I'd done anything to just play a little part in such, well, now known as the biggest movie of all time, blockbuster wise. So it was something that was phenomenal. I didn't expect it. It's something that I didn't have to do, but it was really nice and something I love doing.
The 2022 to 2023 season will go down as the best ever season in the National League. You and Notts County were toe to toe all season, with Wrexham finishing this season as champions. Take me back to the end of that season, and what was it like?
Relief more than anything. I think in any other National League season, we'd have probably been promoted with about 10 games to go, which would have been quite nice, but it wasn't to be. I think it all added to the drama, but when we managed to beat Bournemouth, it was pure relief more than anything. In my book, again, as I wrote, I literally just wanted to go home, sit on the couch and finally breathe. I felt like I'd been not drowning, but sort of suffocating under immense pressure, and then just thinking about football constantly. It was finally like someone had put a pin in me, and I could finally breathe again. At the time of my life, I'll never forget. It's probably going to be the most enjoyable season of my whole career, and that being said, it was the most stressful.
You season trip to Las Vegas, what was that like?
Surreal more than anything. It's quite mental to think that we've now done it twice and we've done it 2 years in a row, but to think that was it. But we got to Las Vegas and it was phenomenal. We were the ones getting treated like we were Rob and Ryan, which was something we all never dreamed would happen and something we all never expected to happen. But I suppose it was probably a time of your life which is we thought we'd never get it again, and luckily we did. But it was just surreal, and as I say, you can't really explain it until you've experienced it. It's probably it was memories made with people who were with friends. And
What was it like playing back in the Football League, and what did it mean to Wrexham to return to League Two?
so for the club to obviously gain promotion to League Two after being out of the EFL for so long, personally, it was just another game, another day. It's football's quite mental. I have sort of maybe a strange way of looking at it, but just the way I do look at life and things, and the show goes on. You enjoy a celebration at the end of a season when you've had the promotion, but equally 2 months later you're back to work again and it all starts again. You just play football again, and different teams come, but the goal remains the same: is to try and play the games as possible. So nothing really changed. When we got into League Two, we always believed we could go and get promotion out of it, and thankfully, come the end of the season, we did so.
That was another incredible season for both you and the club. You gained back to promotion. What was that like, and did it feel better than the season before?
No, surprisingly, it didn't feel better. It was something I think I know we expected to get promoted from the National League, but obviously just the way it happened and the whole 15 years out of the league and, the having to beat a points total, set records and having a team like Notts County who were pushing us all the way made that just that bittersweet. Like, it was just so sweet, sorry, like that we finally managed to do it. The pure relief and emotion and joy from the whole town was there for all to see. And then obviously going into League Two, we always thought we could get promoted. We have got a lot of good players at the club, and it was something we set out to do. So when it did come round, obviously, although it was unbelievably proud to do so and get us promoted again and get Wrexham back to the level that we supposedly belong to as a club. Who knows where that could be going forward, but it was something that obviously we loved, we aimed to do, but it'll never be as sweet as getting promoted from the National League after such a long absence for the club.
You have started this season brilliantly too, and you are currently top of League One after beating your local rival Shrewsbury Town. Do you think you can maintain this form and get promoted 3 years in a row?
Who knows? If I had a crystal ball, I'd be able to tell you. But our aim is ultimately to try and win as many games as possible. And, that's for fans to get carried away and get excited. For us, we've always been the same, even when we were winning every week in the National League. It's you keep your feet on the ground, you go to work the next day and you work twice as hard to get better than you did the day before. And that's just the way we are. We aim high. We aim to set ourselves high standards to try to achieve them. So obviously our aim this year is to do as well as we can, win as many games as we can, and obviously to finish as high up the table as we can. But we'll never lose sight of what's really important, and that's the next day and the next steps you take, because if you don't get them right, then everything after that can fall down.
How important has your manager, Phil Parkinson, been in the success of the club?
Massively important. I think I don't know if many people give him the credit he deserves, not so much for on the pitch, because obviously that's for all to see the success we've had, but the stuff the gaffers had to deal with as a manager. And, it was new for us as players coming into the whole situation that we did when I signed here with the cameras and the whole media stuff that goes on. But for the manager, he'd obviously managed the really big clubs, but when this happens, it's something different, and having to control cameras in the room, and obviously as lower league players and things like that, having all the media attention and to be able to help your players navigate that situation is something that's really challenging. And, I think the manager deserves unbelievable credit for helping make sure that all of the lads remain focused and stick to task.
Can we play a quick game with you called Teammates? We will ask you some questions and you have to say which teammate is the answer. Are you ready?
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Who would be the last to buy a round of drinks at the bar?
Probably quite a few, to be fair. No, Ollie Palmer. He'd probably find a way to get the barmaid or the barman to give us the free. So probably Ollie.
If you got into a fight, who would want to back you up?
Who would want to?
Yeah.
That's a great question, because probably no one. He'd probably leave me just to go for it. Who would actually back me up was a different thing, and I'd say obviously all of the lads would probably back me up, but I think the one who'd be most excited about doing so probably James McLean.
You are stuck on a desert island. Who would you want to help you survive?
Help me survive on a desert island. Oh, it's just on my own, to be honest. I think I'd probably get too worked up. Maybe without doing the test, maybe I'm autistic. I probably couldn't deal with the same person for too long, and I just like my own space and peace and quiet. So I think too many influences in my head would probably cause me a bit too much chaos. So I'd probably like to try and solve the problem myself.
Who messes up most in front of the Disney cameras?
Messes up most. I don't know. I suppose we'd say the gaffer. The probably says a lot of swear words, but that's probably to motivate us, I suppose. Apart from that, as I say, I don't pay much attention to them, so I don't know.
Um, Lastly, who are you most likely to lose on a night out in Vegas?
To lose. Um, oh, we've got quite a fresh group now, so I'm not too sure now. Maybe in the past there's quite a few candidates. But out of the team now, we're most likely to lose. I'd say Andy Cannon. Someone will probably make him disappear.
Then. Thank you for answering those questions. We just wanted to ask you a few questions about autism, if that is okay.
Yeah.
Your son is autistic. As parents, when did you notice that your son may be autistic and what signs did you notice?
Albie's mum probably noticed before me, to be honest with you, but it was probably, well, after his 12-month injections, we noticed a massive change almost instantaneously. From that point on, he started to be vacant and wouldn't really make eye contact with us. He used to play chase. He used to do everything as a normal, I say normal, but as a 1-year-old would do, he'd do everything. And then from that point on, he stopped doing the stereotypical things and he'd do his own thing. And it was something that we obviously then noticed in our 15 months. And we decided to investigate it further and seek out to basically understand how I'll be a bit more. Autism was something that was new to us, and we had to figure out a way in which to help him. That's the only important thing. And his mum was really good at that. My sister helped us a lot in terms of getting the right advice, and from that point on, it's been the most enjoyable time in my life.
As parents, what support did you get from professionals regarding your son's diagnosis?
Well, that's really hard now. You don't get much support in terms of professional help, but the one thing that Albie has got, which we are grateful for, is just one-to-one teacher in school. Karen, she's phenomenal and understands Albie like we do as parents, and that's something that's really pleasing because it gives them the support to progress in school, and that's something that's been really key. That was probably our biggest worry with them going to school, and she manages to understand Albie just like we do, and it's really pleasing. But in terms of help from anybody else, you don't tend to get it. But equally, he's our child, and I give him absolutely every help he gets. So it's all down to us just researching and figuring out the best ways for your child. You know, every child's different, so what works for Albie and me and his mum might not work for other people, and that's all just down to parents figuring out what's best for their kids.
We've got a few more
What
questions, Paul, if that's okay. We'll finish up in a few minutes.
Yes, and
Awesome.
a couple of minutes, no problem.
what are the challenges that your son faces and how can he be best supported to overcome these?
Um, well, to be honest, I don't think Albie actually views anything as a challenge. He just gets on with life. You know, it's the same as everybody else. He just views things differently, and if he doesn't want to do something, he won't do it, and that's cool. You know, I don't blame him, and you know, he's obviously got challenges in learning to communicate, but they're only challenges that the world perceives to be as a challenge. You know, for him, he doesn't care. He communicates how he needs to communicate, gets what he needs and what he wants when he wants them, and he finds a way. So, you know, it's something that I've come to accept. If Albie did never talk to communicate, then I wouldn't care, to be honest, because he finds his own little way, and that's just the way the world is. And in terms of challenges, obviously, it's more an ego thing for me to say the challenges because he might not view them that way. He can't tell me yet, so I just enjoy every single day with him. It's more of a challenge for me, to be honest with you, because I try to let him just be his own self, and he can find his way in life, and I'll just support him through that, and whatever suits him best. You know, if he's smiling, then I'm smiling, and that's the key to it for us.
Craig Bellamy has recently become Wales manager. Has he spoke to you at all, and do you still have ambitions of playing for Wales?
No, I haven't spoken to him at all. But yeah, I'd love to play for Wales. I've said that many times before. It's obviously the birthplace of my grandmother and something I'd love to do. But that's out of my hands, you know. I've just got to play well on the pitch on a Saturday and a Tuesday for Wrexham, which is what matters more than anything. And, from that point on, who knows, hopefully one day I could maybe represent the country or something I'd love to do.
Every week on the podcast, we like our guests to ask questions to each other. So we get a guest to ask a question, but they have no idea who the question is going to be for. This week's question comes from our previous guest, who was former Cardiff City defender, Darren Pearce. And he asked, if there was another sport that you could play professionally, what would it be and why?
If I could be a Formula One driver, I'd love to. But I'd have to rewind years for that, because at the moment I wouldn't have the mental capacity to drive at 200 mile an hour in the car. But I would love to do it. It's a sport I absolutely love. But probably an MMA fighter in the UFC. I've become really fond of the UFC over the last 10 years. It's something I love doing. I love going to watch the shows when they're in the UK, or if I get a chance anywhere else. So, yeah, probably those two.
Nice choices. Could you do the same, please? Can you think of a question for our next guest, please? But we aren't going to tell you who the guest is. The question could be anything you want.
Struggling. What could I think of here? Not sure. Ooh. If you could play a part in any film, what would it be?
Nice. I would just like to say a big thank you again to everyone who listens to our podcast. We really appreciate it. Please continue to leave reviews and pass our podcast on to your friends and family. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today, Paul. We really enjoyed speaking with you, and it means so much to us as a school to be able to have the opportunity to speak with you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Enjoyed it. Thank you. Finally got round to being able to do it, so I appreciate it for waiting.
Thanks again.
Brilliant. Paul, honestly, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy man, so we really, really appreciate it. And all the best for the season, and thank you so much, mate.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Good luck, Paul.
See you later.
Well done, mate. Well done.
Thanks.
How was that?
That was great. I mean, I'm glad to talk to him again, since I've seen him in person twice now, and it's just kind of good to reminisce on that and then talk about not only Albie and mention about like autism, but also his overall career for Wrexham.
Yeah. What was your favourite bit of the podcast? What was your favourite story or thing he said?
My favourite bit was when he mentioned about his past at like Cambridge. I was originally going to ask, because wasn't that the club where I remember he chatted to Ben Foster on the Fozcast, and wasn't it true he had a stand named after him?
The Paul Mullin stand. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to have a name stand after you. A stand named after you. But Tom, no, well done. You spoke really well. Again, very confident. I know you've always wanted to speak to Paul, haven't you, since the Wrexham documentaries and stuff have come out. So it was great to get you back on and chat to him. So well done.
Much appreciated. Thank you.